For us, it's all about your farm and your needs. Because you have situations entirely unique to your farm, from highly specific crop nutrition deficiencies to management challenges and a range of crop care needs. The Willard Farm Performance System is designed to maximize your farm's potential. It's an integrated portfolio of tools and services, the latest agronomic insights, and advanced technologies, all customized to your operation by a knowledgeable crop advisor. Building on 50-plus years of our proven farmer-first approach, this system is based on a commitment to our customers, not corporate goals, with a two-step planning process. Step 1, listen and understand. Product recommendations will only generate a return when they're truly relevant to your goals and can fit the logistical structure of your farm. As we listen, we apply 3 areas of focus before any product recommendations are made. Expertise and insights, which give you a local expert point of view with a global perspective, addressing specific crop nutrition opportunities, management challenges, and crop care needs. Decision and plant support, which leverages our expertise and knowledge to produce higher yields by reducing risk, solving production problems, and increasing profits supported by relevant, local agronomic data. Logistics and services, which give you the agronomic flexibility to maximize your crop potential, making better use of your precious time in the field with customized plans, convenient pickup and delivery of inputs, best-in-class custom application, and our innovative Load and Go program. It's logistics and agronomics, all in one convenient place. Step 2. When implemented on your farm, all of these services are supported by best-in-class soil and plant active tools, recommended in a targeted and systematic program that delivers high return on investment. With our soil active tools, we deliver field-by-field customized plant nutrition, which can then be enhanced by our suite of locally tested and proven specialty fertilizers, micros, soil amendments, biologicals, and crop production products. Our plant active tools include a trusted line of biostimulants and nutritional products that enhance and supplement overall nutrition, using targeted nutrients and technology to stimulate plant health and growth. Because what matters most is right in front of us, your farm and your success. The rest takes care of itself. Some may call that old school. We just call it the Willard way. Our business is your success.
Welcome. It's really great to see everybody today. I really feel like I look forward to these meetings every year and getting to see so many familiar faces, and hope you guys feel like your family, because to us you are, and we appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to join us. We're excited to introduce the Farm Performance System today that you just saw in the short video at the beginning of this meeting, but I want to start first by asking you a question. Who here thinks they've got a handle on all the latest technologies, opportunities, and challenges that are facing us in 2024? I didn't think I'd see any hands. But I don't either, by the way. So, in fact, as I think about that question, I had an opportunity last spring to visit a really progressive customer of ours who had just returned from the Commodity Classic, and he always looks forward to going to the Commodity Classic, and I like talking to him afterwards to see what he saw, what caught his eye, what he found interesting, and he gave me a pretty ho-hum answer. It was okay. I'm like, what do you, come on, you always look forward to this. It's got to be better in other cases. Well, like there were like the 6 big guys there, you know, John Deere, Case, Syngenta, Bayer, the outfits like that. And then there were 300 biological companies. I didn't quite know what to make of it. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. I know I certainly have. I think the last time I upgraded my smartphone, I did. And, you know, we've called that in prior meetings the information haze. And it reminds me of a quote. Some days I feel like change is just coming at a fever pitch. And the quote is, change has never happened this fast before, but in reality, it will never happen this slowly again. So perhaps Mark Twain said it best, said, it ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. Let me say that again. It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. So what do you do in this environment? Well, the last few years, we've kicked off this meeting sharing a concept that we're, as a team at Willard, working on, wrestling with, that we think is beneficial to our business. And we thought it was worthwhile sharing it with you, that it might be beneficial to your businesses as well. In January of 22, we talked about the rate of change, and we talked about the fact that IBM was predicting that by the year 2025, so that was 3 years away at this meeting, at the 2022 meeting, it's now 1 year away, that the rate of knowledge growth would double every 8 hours. And I can say 3 years ago, it's not that I didn't believe them per se, it's just hard to wrap my head around that with what we're seeing with the rise of artificial intelligence, as that scales very rapidly, I'm beginning to think they might be pretty close on that. Last year, we talked about getting 1% better. So the power that consistent, small incremental improvements done on a regular basis can have on long-term success and outcomes. And this year, we're launching the Farm Performance System, and it emphasizes the power of questions. We're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. So what is the Farm Performance System? What you just saw in the video, and you're going to see throughout the meeting today, it's really hopefully how we showed up on your farms for the last 54, going on 55 years since Dee started the company. These are things that you're going to see examples of things that hopefully you feel like we've been doing and do for a long time. But in this world of change and information haze, we knew we had to double down on our focus. And what is that focus? It's you, our customers. I hope that when you leave here today, that you will leave here saying, you know, I've been to a lot of grower meetings, but this one felt different. That's our goal. Also hope you'll leave here saying that was a really good lunch and I learned something. But the Farm Performance System is built on the power of questions. And we said step one is to listen and understand. The Dalai Lama said, when you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. Our job is to listen. And as a byproduct of that listening, gain a deeper understanding of your needs as a customer. We built the Farm Performance System and this meeting around questions we've heard when visiting with you, our customers. Questions like, how does this new technology even work? And how can you help me logistically implement it on my farm? When do I know it's time to make a decision in season when the weather and everything about this season seems different than last year? So we're going to step through the meeting explaining this dial. And in the process, share some really interesting data, hopefully help you understand how you can fully benefit from using the Farm Performance System on your farm to keep up with rapid change, to consistently improve your profitability, yields, and operational efficiencies, and finally, help reduce that feeling of being a little overwhelmed from information haze. Most importantly, things that hopefully we can do to help you not let your operation fall behind in this world of rapid change and constant technological development. We built this system with an inner and an outer ring, with your operation at the center, as we listen and understand all aspects of how we can fit into your farm operation. One thing this isn't is a sales pitch on the latest and greatest bright shiny object or next product. In fact, nothing really bothers me more than when someone shows up to sell me something and they don't even take a minute to ask if it's something I might need or if it's even relevant to my business. To help you understand how this works, we're going to go from the inner dial to the outer dial. We're going to start with the inner dial next. And I would ask you to just keep in mind as we go through this, and you're going to hear this repeated throughout the day, our business is your success. So with that, I'm going to introduce Tyler Adams. Tyler is the sales manager for the Western Shore. He hails from Harford County, and has been a farm performance advisor for over 5 years now up in the Hartford, York area. Has got a strong ag background, and I'm excited to have him come up and kick us off.
Thank you, Mike. So speaking of shiny objects, when I first heard about the farm performance system, they'll probably get mad at me because this wasn't planned. I'll probably over time, but I really felt like, okay, another marketing gimmick. Like, and, you know, this is internally. I was like, let's see what this is all about. But as I really started to study and learn and understand what the farm performance system was, I actually started to get really excited about it. And I really hope you guys are excited about it as well, especially as we get further away year by year from the original founding of the company. We have new sales reps coming in. It's important to understand the Willard way. So for a lot of you who've done business with Willard for a long time, this won't look very different at all on your farm, at the farm level. But for those of you who may not have done a lot of business with us, this is how we go to business. This is how we go to work on your farm and your fields, and now we can put verbiage to it. So today I'm going to talk to you about expertise and insights a little bit. So I want to focus on this, and then we're going to talk about some new technology. But I feel like it's a very important part of what Willard does. And like I said, we were doing it for 55 years. We recently had a company meeting. We had all the farm performance advisors sitting in a room. And it kind of happened off the cuff, and we said, hey, let's pull the room and see how much experience is here in the room. And as we tallied up those numbers, we had over 800 years of agronomic experience sitting in that room with our farm performance advisors. And sitting there as a relatively young farm performance advisor, I was honored just to be there. And as I look around the room today, in this room, I can't even imagine the number of the agronomic experience of you all sitting here in this room and what that all brings to the table. So we're humbled and grateful to have you all here. So the farm performance system, it's a holistic approach to your operation. It's backed by decision support and those 800 years of experience that comes with it. So you hear a lot from your farm performance advisors. You probably see them on your farms and your fields. They're meeting with you talking about crop plans. But beyond that, at Willard, we have an entire team of individuals that's working for you, focused on your success in your business. These team members, they're in trucks, they're in sprayers, they're in the office, they're in the plant. Some of them are in the audience today, and you're going to hear from a few of them later today. So we interviewed several of them across the company. We took some videos. And I'm going to share that video with you in just a second. But I want to tell you, they weren't necessarily excited to be interviewed, but what they were excited about was to talk to you and share the message of why they care about our customers. So let's see the video.
Hi, I'm Kitty McKenzie. I work in billing here at Willard Agri-Services for the Mount Airy plant. I've been here a year and a half. I was born and raised on a dairy farm in Middletown.
My name is Mike Bell. I've been with Willard now 17 years. Applicator at a Stewartstown satellite store of Mount Airy.
My name is Stacy Tomaszewski. I'm a billing specialist here at Willard's. I've been with Willard now 5 years. I've been doing accounts receivables for companies probably for about the last 30 years, 35 years. I love the AR part of businesses. I ran my own business for a long time.
Bill Robinson, I'm an applicator. 19 years. I worked for Rakowski's and sprayed for them for 14 years.
32 years application experience.
Mm-hmm. Had to do it the hard way. It wasn't all this GPS. If GPS goes out, I ain't got to stop. I can keep right on going.
My name is Ginger Weatherly. I work out of the Frederick office. I've been with Willard for about 14 years. I'm the inventory control manager. I purchase for all 4 locations, as well as assist and with credit and third-party financing.
My name's Travis Stafford. This November, I have worked at Willard for 20 years. I worked for Royster Clark for, I think, 7 years before I came to Willard. I've had a wide variety of soil samples, worked in the shop, spread lime, done sales, run an applicator.
Farm performance to me is a total circle where the grower has access not only to the agronomist and the scouts and the plant personnel, but also to the administrative and the accounting teams, so that everything will flow together and make one total package for the grower.
There's a whole team of great people that specialize in different areas. We know expertise of salesmen, helping with insight of growing crops, new technology from the applications side of it, scouting, and then all the way to the billing, administration, and end of the year, focusing on what worked, what didn't work, helping to set up a new year. Timeliness, I think, is giving our customers a quality product, arriving on time and ready for any changes that could happen throughout the year due to weather or any other changes that they do.
This was a neat concept when I first heard about it. My thinking in the beginning was it was about the chemistry in relation to the field. It is really to also include the entire team of Willard, not just the applicators, the drivers, the sales reps, the admin people, the billing people. When you put all of us together, we're one big, huge team, and we work for you, the customer.
We try to get to the customer in a reasonable time, and sitting, we're not getting nowhere. But, well, if you wait 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours a day, it costs you about 100 acres that somebody else has to wait. And we don't wait. You got to go along and do it right, please the customer and everything. He's the biggest part to our business. Without them, we're nothing.
Farm performance is more than just the products. It's the system that supports not only the grower, but within all the departments within Willard to make things happen.
Farm performance system, it means a package put together from soil samplings to the finished product of everything working together, and even some of the products we use that were developed off soil samples that we've took. I mean, times everything. I think that's what makes this job unique is we get thrown so many curveballs with, weather conditions and temperatures and wind and everything else, and make it work. That helps the farmer on his end product. You got to get wired this way. It's a lifestyle, definitely. You got to go as hard as you can, pay attention to detail, turn out good work in a timely manner. And it can be hard to do at times. You're tired. Everybody's tired, from your wives right on up to the grower. And you push through it and you make it work and do the best you can with it. The product you're putting in the sprayer, I'm confident that I know that it works. It's not some juice in a jug that you don't know anything about. I know about it. And if it doesn't and things change, we'll change it to make it suit the crop more. I'm pretty confident in that. I mean, that's part of the performance plan. It's adapting. Everything changes. I mean, when I came into this in the probably early 90s, and Roundup was the answer to everything. Well, now look where we are with Roundup and how much things have changed since then. I think as an applicator, somebody or something has got my back to make me successful. And as an applicator, I have a lot of trust in the company for doing so. You're not going to be successful if you don't.
You're going to hear this as a theme throughout today's meeting. Our business is your success. And we're going to talk about that, and everything we're talking about, the data, the products, the programs, that's what it's focused on. So to get into the meat of some expertise and insights, I want to focus a little bit on the insights part. So you've all heard the term information haze, and we feel there's so much data out there. There's planting data, there's sprayer data, there's weather data, hybrid data, the list goes on and on and on. You could inundate yourself with sensors. And there are so many things to analyze on the farm, and we're all constantly being flooded with information. And we've been dealing with this information haze for a long time. The question really is, how do we take all of this and turn it into actionable intelligence so that we can make decisions? The team here at Willard, we feel this is where we can help you kind of make sense of this whole information haze, this cloud. We've been doing this for a long time with things like HiQ. This is a system that was extremely innovated over 28 years ago, but I truly believe this has relevance on your farm today. Now, we'll be sharing some details with Stephen up here later, talking about some results from the HiQ system. But in keeping with the theme of innovation, we're excited to introduce our farm performance flights. We started to dig into this a little bit, and I really feel like this focuses on those insights. This is a technology, as Cole's going to come up and explain in a minute. When I was in the military, we were always trying to figure out how to take information, pure data, and turn it into actionable intelligence. And I truly believe this is a way to get after that. The goal is to take that information and drive it to decision-making on your farm. So I want to go ahead and invite Cole on forward. Cole started as an intern here at Willard a few years ago and is going into his second growing season as an associate farm performance advisor. Cole's taking the lead on this project, really helping to get off the ground. And he's gonna help me by answering some questions today about our farm performance flights. So Cole, welcome. Oh, I think it's 40. So Cole, could you tell us a little bit how we got to today, and give us your perspective on the farm performance flights and how that fits into the entire farm performance system?
Sure, Tyler. Thank you. So for as long as Willard Agri-Service has been providing agronomic services to you guys, the growers, we've always been looking for more ways to become innovative year in and year out. And with introducing our farm performance flights today, we wanted to create value towards the grower's operation by using AI-powered technology for your operation to become more accurate and efficient on an acre-by-acre level insight. Our goal as a company, we want to allow you guys, the grower, to look at your crops like never before. So that's what I'm here to tell you guys a little bit about today.
Cole, that's super exciting. I know we'll probably dive into it and talk about this leaf level intelligence. It's really fascinating to me. Can you dive into a little bit about these programs, kind of what it brings to these guys in the room, our customers, and what crops can be flown with the system?
Sure. So the farm performance flights will be powered by a company called Terranus. They're a crop intelligence company that's based out of the Midwest that uses AI-powered drones to take high-resolution imagery of what's current events that are happening in your fields. With these flights will be looking at your stand counts, your field health trends, your nutrient deficiencies, and your threats, which include your weeds, insects, diseases on an acre-by-acre level insight. After each flight, you'll get a report back that will give you that insight within the field boundary that overall will be looking at your crop's life cycle throughout the season.
Oh, this is really cool. And I love this picture, showing you, it's counting every single plant. And of course, this is a really high level. We don't have time to get in all the details. But we'll try to hit some more of those highlights here. So the way I understand it, Cole, there's kind of a set number of flights based off what I as a customer sign up for. Are those evenly spaced out? Can you kind of talk through the slide about when my crops will be flown if I decide to do this?
Sure, yes. So we will be offering two different flight programs. It's a 4-flight and a 6-flight program. So with both of these, the first 2 flights will be looking at your stand counts and your overall field health trends throughout the field, where the licensed pilot that will be doing these flights will have to obtain a planting date where they will then calculate the growing degree days. So when they do show up for that first flight to get that stand count and overall field health trend data, they will have guaranteed emergence within that field. You'll see about like 10 to 12 days between the first 2 flights leading to that 3rd flight. And then on that 3rd and 4th flight, and if the grower does decide to utilize that 6th flight program, the 5th and 6th, that's when those flights will then start to look at your threats and your nutrient deficiencies within that field. And what we want to do with that is we will have about 15 days in between each of those flights. So these flights will be looking at critical parts of that crop's life cycle throughout the season.
Yeah, I think this is super fascinating and, it really brings some value. So it sounds really cool, but as a grower, what if I really like to be in my fields? I like to walk my fields. I want to be out in the field. I enjoy it. I want to see it with my own eyes. Do you think these flights kind of replace that boots on the ground approach?
Yeah, so not at all, Tyler. And in fact, what it overall creates for the grower is a more effective footprint management for your day-to-day operation. I know you guys like getting out in your fields and looking at what's going on with your crops. I don't blame you, but when you have stuff going on throughout the day, I know it can be very time consuming to go out there. But with these aerial reports on an acre by acre level, you can see those problem areas in the field before you step in there, which ultimately allows you, when you do want to spend an hour or 2 throughout your day going to your acres, you can walk directly to those problem areas and get a boots on the ground visual of what's going on with that field, which overall just leads to, I think, better management decision making in the end. So
yeah, it seems like that could be a way more accurate and efficient way to get out of my farm. So, okay, so I'm in season and I want to look for some specific things on my farm. We've been dealing in especially this region, things like tar spot, our corn coming in late. We've been dealing with things like spider mites and soybeans. Can I focus on looking for things like that?
Sure. Yes, Tyler. So with the reports that you receive back, they will first show up on the software that the grower will be able to access. And when you are looking at that field boundary, you will be able to filter in different pests and threats. When in this example, let's use tar spot. You can filter in tar spot, and on an acre by acre level, it will show you not only where that tar spot is in the field, but also the amount of pressure that you're receiving from that threat. And from my last point too, it allows you not only to get boots on the ground where those areas are, but allows you to see what kind of particular pest is in your field, and also the pressure to help better make decisions to suppress that pest overall in the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good stuff. And we were talking a little bit yesterday after some discussion, and just the amount of things you can analyze, you know, as a playbook review of your farm at the end of the season, even how did my planter perform? That kind of stuff I think is fascinating. So Cole, I really appreciate you sharing all this. Is there anything else, you know, before we close out here about the farm performance flights you'd like to share?
Sure, and I know you guys probably have heard me say AI a lot, and Mike too as well. But I know AI powered technology can be scary at times, with how much it is evolving, especially in our industry. But what we're offering, it's more than a drone flight here. We ultimately want to help you create more value to your acres by allowing you to have more accurate data for you to become more efficient and overall lead to profitability on your farm when it comes to decision making. And I would encourage our interested growers today to talk to their farm performance advisor to get more details and insights on this program leading up to the 2024 growing season. And I know as a company, we're really excited to see this program take off for this year, and we can't wait for the results that we get back for this upcoming season. But I'll just say, remember, our business is your success. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Cole. I'm really excited, you know, and there's no shortage of puns. You talk about getting a new program like this off the ground. And I just want to add, you've been hearing a lot about AI, right? And AI can be daunting. You talk about ChatGPT. I was actually on it last night and, you know, try to see what I could make it do, and it was also to give me. AI is a powerful tool, but where can we employ it at the farm level? I really do feel like with our farm performance flights, we're able to bring you, and we're so excited about it, we can bring AI to the farm gate as a tool for you guys to help improve accuracy and efficiency. These flights start with the acquisition of data, it's analyzed, and then with your input or help from whoever your agronomist is, you can drive that to actionable decisions that drive profit on your farm.
Good morning, everybody. As I was walking up here this morning, I got thinking, we probably got a lot in common, but one thing for sure is that none of us know what I'm supposed to say. Seriously, thank you guys for coming today. It means a lot to all of us here at Willard team. I'm going to focus on the second ring of our second part of our inner ring, which is decision support. For those who may not know, I left a 13-year career with John Deere Ag Equipment, most of which was spent with the precision ag side of things, becoming the specialist in the territory that I served. My focus then was more on the how to get the equipment to do what it needs to do. I tell you that to tell you the how doesn't matter if we don't know why. A favorite quote of mine is the silent sign of intelligence is that you're always constantly wondering. Sure tell sign of an idiot is that they're always so dead sure about every damn thing that they're doing. Something I've admired about Willard is that they're always decision ag, have always been decision ag before precision ag. I'm proud to be a part of a company and a team that puts so much emphasis in staying personable, ethical, and innovative. And I'm always excited to remind people that we're still a local family-owned company. We do what we do because we love the industry and the people we serve, you guys. We're proud to be part of your success. We're not just a fertilizer dealer. We're a farm performance supplier with advisors who suggest solutions based on data and honest results. We can proudly say that we do not believe in a cookie cutter approach. Unique is what we strive for. Our business is your success. Every season, hell, every day, we're challenged with a list of choices that could be turned into an opportunity or a disappointment. The information haze, as we've come to know it, is something that we can all easily choke on. What do I do? When do I do it? Why do I need to do it? The Willard team is here to help you navigate through that haze with a toolbox packed with unique tools that you as our customers have the key to. In 1996, our industry was rapidly moving towards the then new variable rate fertilizer and grid sampling technologies, the how, if you would, while the Willard team was focused on the why. It was also this year that our HiQ system was developed. Although we will always have to adapt to an ever-changing world, there will always be what we like to call the known knowns. HiQ is a key innovative tool Willard uses as part of our farm performance system to cut through the information overload and assist you in making data-driven decisions. It turns raw field data into valuable insights that we may otherwise miss. The system tracks data points created by the operator and the equipment and turns it into a resource we can use to analyze our highs, our lows, our averages, but more importantly, helps us figure out the why so we can turn it into the what, when, and how. One of the most powerful attributes of HiQ is that it's all local data collected from over 60,000 acres here on the shore and over 100,000 acres across the company. We can all look at planning, application, harvest maps, and all the data that our equipment can provide, but our HiQ system takes that data management to the next level. It's not just about the basic knowledge or your yield averages that you brag on at the coffee shop. Our industry is demanding more precise management, and quite frankly, I think a lot of you will agree that the bottom line does too. We need to use it to make the bad good and the good better. This productivity chart is an example of one tool within HiQ that plots your yields field by field and compares it, in this example, to the Delmarva average, which was 21,000 acres. This particular chart was from a grower, about 200 acres of irrigated corn, again, comparing it to the 21,000 acres of corn grown on the Delmarva. We can also get you a productivity chart that only compares your fields to the other fields in your operation, a snapshot of your operation only. Although fairly simple to build, productivity chart is a great tool in itself to see what farms are worth putting the extra money into to push that yield, and vice versa, which fields may not be worth the extra inputs. Every season we collect the data and we put out, hopefully what you guys are familiar with as our standardized HiQ DSS report, given highs and lows and averages of all kinds of data points that are tracked throughout the year. But to top that, we like to do a lot of specialized queries to answer some questions that are brought to us throughout the season. Our first example is tillage practice in irrigated corn. You'll see in 2023, conventional till actually did the best, where minimum till did the worst. Also in 2023 is just the opposite. Dryland corn, minimum till did the best, and conventional till did the worst. Another favorite of mine is an entry that we've actually been tracking since about 2012, strip till practices. You'll see that this data shows that on average, strip till boosts corn by about 25 bushel per acre alone. Moving from one grass crop to another, let's talk about planting some wheat. This data is from wheat that was planted in 22, harvested in 23. You'll see that in comparison with planting behind corn and soybeans, planting wheat behind corn averaged about 10 bushels to the acre higher. The next snapshot we have is planting date. Although widely accepted that October is the best time to plant wheat, this data shows that the earlier in October that you can get that wheat in the ground, the better that it'll produce. So I'm going to stop right there and ask, does the wheat do better behind corn because it's planted earlier, or wheat behind corn strictly a yield benefiting rotation? Another question that we could dig further into HiQ and get you some answers. Lastly, with wheat, a common question we get is plant population. Again, somebody comes to me and asks, we're going to run a query. This particular data shows that 1.7 to 2.2 million plants is what yields best. But I'd also encourage anyone to run a query on tillage practice as well. No-till versus worked-in wheat. I think we would all agree that population is going to change based on your practice. Switching to soybeans, and another popular data set has been population of irrigated soybeans, dry land as well, but especially irrigated, with the interest of cutting back the population. You'll see that our data set from 2023 shows that there is an obvious trend in higher yield with lower population. On the other hand, our dryland soybean doesn't show quite an obvious trend. In our higher acreage data sets, you'll see there is a small tick in higher yield in lower population. But you also see that at 200,000, 158,000, and 130,000 population, the beans were all about 70 bushel per acre. I would encourage you in this situation to go to your farm performance advisor and ask them to run some more detailed queries to find out what those farmers did at 130 to get the same yield that somebody planted at 200,000. If we can grow 70 bushel beans with 70,000 less seeds, I think we would all want to try. In 2023, we collected over 106,000 acres worth of data. Here on the Delmarva, it shows a trend that from 2022 to 2023, our yields across corn, wheat, and soybeans grew pretty substantially. With the rough start that many had this spring, there was some doubt that we'd be able to beat the yields we had in 2022, but you guys absolutely did just that. There will always be challenges and obstacles that we can't control. However, knowledge and facts from things that we've already done or tried help us to make better decisions. Obviously, the weather was a big part in what we did this year. It'll always be a factor that we have to consider, but we can't control. IQ leads us to understand the known knowns in preseason and next season planning, but we also have a tool that helps in season planning. Even when weather throws a wrench in your plan, especially for those of us who have to follow one dictated by Uncle Sam, I want to introduce EcoN nitrogen modeling. We all worry about getting enough nitrogen in our corn, but it's not quite as common to talk about the consequences of excessive nitrogen, aside from the financial drag associated with unnecessary fertilizer. The ear here on the left is an example of an ear of corn that failed to fill out due to nitrogen deficiency. The ear on the right, if I can get it to come up, also failed to fill out, but that was actually because of potassium deficiency. You'll see the leaves, if you were to walk out in the field, look very similar. Deficiencies in these two nutrients in particular can look similar when looking at leaves and corn cobs when trying to figure out what your limiting factor in that field may be. When nitrogen is not your limiting factor, too much nitrogen is just as bad or worse than not enough. Insufficient potassium or potash leads to reduced nitrogen uptake. Adding more nitrogen to push that corn crop is still going to result in a low yield environment. Especially with urea, the plant is actually wasting energy trying to break down that urea to turn it into a usable source instead of putting that energy into grain fill. Other crucial nutrients need to maintain a proper balance within that corn plant to be successful. Excessive nitrate actually inhibits the uptake of boron, which we all, I think, will agree is crucial for high yielding corn, especially during tassel and silking. Another example of wasted nitrogen is when it's applied without sulfur. Sulfur must be present for the plant to metabolize and break down that nitrogen, otherwise it's merely useless. The use of tissue sampling for phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, and miners is very helpful when used correctly, but it's not a good tool when trying to find out how much nitrogen your crop may need. Let us help you figure out your needs using this EcoN nitrogen modeling. I'm going to show you some real data from a couple of cornfields tracked in 2023 using the EcoN model. Location A and B both had 240 bushel per acre yield goals. They both had 124 pounds of nitrogen already applied, and they're very close together. For simplicity's sake, I only put the basics up on this slide, but EcoN goes much further than that when tracking your needs. EcoN will use real-time weather events in that area based on zip code, but it also uses inputs from your crop advisor, such as soil type, organic matter, CEC, your manure use, your fertilizer use, what your yield goal is, what your planting date was, your daily temperatures, any precipitation events, any irrigation events, slope and drainage values, and even rooting depths. All of this, which helps calculate how much nitrogen has been mineralized, how much has been lost, how much the corn plant's already taken up, and how much it may still need. I know this is a busy slide, but I want to focus on this bottom graph first. This location has 124 pounds of nitrogen applied and 0.8 inches of rain since planting. EcoN estimates that 14 pounds of nitrogen has been mineralized and 8 has been lost. I also want to point your attention that it estimates that the corn plant has taken up nearly 0 pounds of nitrogen since planting. For those of you who are accustomed to a PSNT before side dress, EcoN will also create a virtual PSNT, which is just as accurate, if not better, than an actual PSNT taken from the field in that same spot. Here, EcoN shows that we've got 36 parts per million. Going by our original 240 bushel per acre yield goal, EcoN is going to recommend that we apply 60 pounds of nitrogen on this field at side dress. Moving to location B, which is right up the road, it may be easy to say, let's just do the same thing. Logistics a lot of times will trump agronomics, as that's the simple thing to do. However, data shows that this may not be the best thing to do. This location also had 124 pounds of nitrogen, but has had 4.8 ounces of rain. 30 pounds of N has been mineralized, 28 has been lost, but I want to direct your attention that it shows that 2 pounds has been taken up by the plant, and our PSNT shows 42 parts per million. Sticking with that same 240 bushel per acre goal, it's only going to recommend we apply 25 pounds of nitrogen in side dress at this location. Although instinct would tell us because it's had more rain, we need more nitrogen. EcoN saying that's not the case. By now, I'm sure everybody's wondering what the yield did at these two locations, and I'll tell you that there was less than 1% difference. And actually, location A, which had more nitrogen applied, yielded 3 bushel per less than this field did with less nitrogen. So let me summarize everything I just told you. Location A, we put 60 pounds down. Location B, we put 25 pounds down. Let's say location B is 100 acres. That's 35 pounds less over 100 acres. We're looking at about 16,000 pounds of 30% that didn't need to go out in the field. Take that money and put it into something that may be your limiting factor. Or if everything else is sufficient, well, hell, you just saved yourself a couple $1,000. The only thing that it cost you was a phone call to your farm performance advisor. Let me end by going back to the beginning. In 1970, Mr. D. Willard started what used to be called Willard Chemical Company. He led the market back then in promoting soil sampling while everyone else was just putting 1,000 pounds of 10-10-10 out, regardless of what their plants and soil actually needed. Just for clarity, even back then, being called chemical company, his focus was selling fertilizer. However, he wanted to sell them what they actually needed, even if it meant not selling as much. Today, everyone recognizes soil sampling as a decision support tool that is used before investing in crop fertility. I'm not just trying to give D credit for starting a soil sampling movement. I simply want to exploit the fact that for 54 years, Willard has always had interest in the why before the how. When we know the why, the what, when, and how will fall into place. It's not just about planting a seed and putting fertilizer on it. It's about planting it at the right time, putting the right fertilizer at the right time. Call your farm performance advisor for more tools in our toolbox that can help you achieve your goals, take you to the next level. Our business is your success. As Mr. Lombardi once said, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we will catch excellence. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll invite Mike back up to go over the next portion of our inner ring. So the third area of our farm performance system and the third of the inner ring is logistics and services. And it's probably one of the most important areas of listening and understanding when we're meeting with you and putting together a plan for the season. Our goal is only, a plan is only as good as our ability to support it and implement it for you guys. And our goal is always to better support you, have the stuff when you need it, right? And we look to leverage our deep asset base with equipment and facilities and people to support you in ways that are relevant to your operation and increase your harvesting and planting capacity. Whether you want to do more application yourself or hire a professional team to outsource it, bottom line, the goal is still the same. You need to do more every day of what you have to get done. And unfortunately, too often I hear us say things like, this makes sense to do logistically, but it's really not ideal agronomically. We're focused on ways that we can leverage automation, technology, and our deep asset base of people and equipment to tie logistics and agronomics better. The best way we see fit can have a huge impact on your operation. In fact, oftentimes the barrier to getting to your next agronomic or profitability goal is logistics more than it is agronomics. If you've ever been to one of our facilities, I want to show you some highlights, not to be up here talking about us, but to make sure you understand the resources that you have at your disposal as a Willard customer to help you achieve your goals and to work with your farm performance advisor to put these resources to work in ways that are meaningful for you. From an application standpoint, we've got 29 full-time applicators. That doesn't include some of the seasonal and contract folks we work, and we did the old years of experience again. Nearly 450 years of application experience that can show up on your turn row when you need us. That's a really exciting statistic. Over 44 straight trucks and tractors with 63 trailers. Sometimes I feel like we're more in the trucking business than we are in the plant nutrition business. But that's designed to make sure that when you need us, we're there. And that timeliness matters. And it does make a difference in the spring between when we show up and when you need us to show up. Bulk chemical storage, over 28 different bulk chemistries contained company-wide in nearly 170,000 gallons of storage. Again, being able to put together a plan that works for your farm and that matches what you need, not what some supplier wants us to sell. Over 11 million gallons of fertilizer storage, that's a lot. And probably the big thing I'd emphasize about that is that gives us the ability, and the reason we have invested in that storage is that when you need it in spring, we can have all our trucks outbound. All those trucks that I showed you up earlier, they're coming to you. They're not running to resupply us in season to keep our stuff going. Dry fertilizer storage, no. Willard Agri-Service is not going to start selling dry fertilizer. But we buy a lot of dry fertilizer. We just buy it in a form that it can be solubilized and turned into uniform, homogeneous, and highly plant available liquid fertilizer that's customizable for your needs to keep your costs low. Peak tonnage in a day, this is a little competition that a lot of the plants run against themselves, right? You know, we're always trying to beat our own record. And the reason I put that up there is more of a gee whiz thing. But I think it's kind of neat that in the heat of the battle, that day that everybody's just running wide open and all the planters are going and everything, as a company, we've been able to push out over 6,000 tons of customized mixed fertilizer out the door to keep you guys moving. So in a crunch, we're pushing just as hard as you are. And finally, number of base nutrition products, and that's growing every year. that we can customize and blend and put together, save you the hassle of having to add and subtract at your farm, and make sure that from load to load, if you want it different, we can make it different, and we can match the needs of your fields. So I want to, as a means of introduction, show you another quick video about two of our leaders in the operations space.
Hi, my name is Josh Byer. I'm the operations manager at Willard Ag of Mount Airy, Maryland. I've been here roughly 9 years, started as an applicator and now run the facility.
Brett Doolin, I'm the operations manager here at Willard's Agri-Service. I've been here 5 years. This will be my 6th season.
Why I do what I do is I enjoy interaction with the customer and helping them meet their time frame and their schedule to produce the best crop they can.
Originally, my father was a farmer in the Quaker Neck area. Originally, I was part of the plant. I helped work on pumps, plumbing, design, that type of thing, making sure trucks were getting loaded properly, chemicals were being loaded properly. We're primarily focused on logistics here at the plant and making sure that our customers are receiving a quality product in a timely manner. And what that involves is a lot of pieces, but it's communication between sales and the plant and the grower, of course, to make sure that that happens and make sure that they are under the same understanding of what we can provide.
Farm performance to me means the entire package: logistics, quality nutrients, looking at what you need to reach your goal of yield and have the best season you can have from start to finish. Timeliness is a key factor here. That's why we have a shift that starts at 3 a.m. and we stay here till 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. Our goal is to load as fast as we can. My phone's on 24/7 for our customers to make sure we can take care of them for anything they might need.
I personally think it's one of the key elements to making sure that from a grower standpoint of view, where they're at in the field, we want to match where they're at in the field.
Quality of our product is very important. Any delivery that leaves here, I will sample and send out for testing to make sure we're on spec. We do calibrations weekly to make sure our meters are working correctly. And we also do random checks of raw materials coming into the facility. You know, the thing to remember is the way we operate is to see you succeed.
Products that we offer, some of them may be based on what we do here at Willard's, but also quality care and understanding raw materials and doing proper sampling and analysis work and sending those off the labs and making sure that we're up to quality standards is all a part of what we do here, and a significant part at that.
With that introduction, and now that he's a famous YouTube star, he will be taking autographs in the back during the break. But I'd like to ask Josh Byer to come up and share with you a couple of things. So, appreciate it. Josh, I'm going to step over here anyway. So, Josh, you've been Willard a while now, and go ahead and advance this slide. Which one? Can you walk me through that? Okay, take over. Professional. There we go. I want you to just think about the last 5 years, not that long a period of time, but tell me a little bit about some of the highlights, the things that really stand out at you over the last 5 years that you've been able to implement at the plant to help our customers have to choose logistics over agronomics less.
So the last 5 years, we've really started to focus on timeliness and logistics of the company to serve you better, from increasing storage on site, overheads on sites, and also bringing in extra drivers through the peak of the season, which has been a huge benefit to meet those timely last-minute loads and deliveries. We also continue to add in micronutrients every year to our blended fertilizer, along with always looking at new chemistry come to the market to make available for you. Probably one of the biggest benefits we've done also is new technology between prescription banding and side dressing, which is really exciting. Our machines can all handle that now to give you the proper nutrients you need in the field when you need them.
Great. So I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball a little bit and think about the next 5 years and what are the things that you're maybe see on the horizon and that you're most excited that you think will be implemented over the next 5 years?
You know, the next 5 years, we keep saying about the FPP package, which I'm really excited about. We're turning more into a plant nutrition company as well as being a fertilizer company.
The goal of it is to give you guys the best bang for your buck, which to me is really, really exciting. Another thing is technology will continue to take off with how we're operating and moving day to day. Already this year, we're going to have paperless tickets, and you guys will be able to notify when delivery is made, and also get a picture, if you wish, of the tank you put into at the time of delivery.
Great, Josh. Well, with that, I just want to thank you and the team for everything that you do to keep us and our customers moving. And thanks for coming up, spending some time away from your YouTube channel. So
I appreciate it. 3 views now, guys. 3 views. But no, in all seriousness, our business really is your success. It's what drives us every day to work the way we do. And if you've never been to Mount Airy plant before, when this is done, please feel free to come by. I'd love to show you guys around. Thanks so much.
we're going to continue to move outwards on this circle for the second half of the meeting. Remember, you and your farm and your success is at the center of this dial. And once we've asked questions and listened and put the tools to work that you have at your disposal, we're going to call the second half in the outer ring a journey to harvest. I don't know about you, but I rarely take off on a trip where I don't know where I'm going. Maybe pack along a few snacks, plan some stops, and map out my route to get there. And the journey to harvest is going to be similar for all of us, but to make it a truly customized and enjoyable ride, your farm performance advisor is going to be along for you to help customize things, smooth out the bumps, and make sure you arrive safely and well rested. So when we're targeting the agronomic plan, we're looking at specific soil and plant active technologies. And I want to ask you a question. Who are you listening to help you answer the agronomic questions about the technologies and the plant nutrition products that you're using on your farm? There's certainly a lot of voices out there. There's some very good companies on this graphic. And this just displays companies in the biological space, which is just a subset of plant nutrition, but I think it demonstrates the point pretty clearly. It speaks to this information haze we keep talking about and is referenced already at times in the meeting. And the big question is, how do you choose? But maybe that's not the only question. Questions like, does this technology make sense for me? Do they do similar things? Are there other variables I need to consider before implementing a technology on my farm? And maybe most important, do I even need it in the first place? And perhaps the final and most important question that you need to ask yourself as a business owner and a farmer is, how much time can I really afford to devote to trying to figure all this out on my own? Isn't there somebody out there who sees the larger picture, can help me sift through all of this, and can bring relevant and timely recommendations that make sense for my farm? And I've got good news for you. That's exactly what the farm performance system is designed to do, to help you answer those questions not only confidently, but relatively quickly, so you can get back to the business of running a successful farming operation. Why do I say that so confidently? Well, for one thing, plant nutrition is our wheelhouse at Willard Agri-Service. We've got deep expertise, not only in the plant nutrition space, but also the mid-Atlantic region in which we all live and work. Second is what I'm calling the rise of the independent. And this has really changed a lot over the last several decades. But as the pace of change in technology is increasing, companies that are bringing this technology increasingly are from outside of ag or are from special divisions started within our large existing suppliers. And they're looking for ways to get to you, to your farms, your fields. But they recognize that, and to quote Travis from the video, none of this is as easy as glyphosate. And if we don't have a focused approach to really understanding how and where these technologies get used, it can often result in disappointment. So at Willard, we're in that sweet Goldilocks size. We're fiercely independent, focused on you, our customer. We don't have a South American or Midwestern division to bail us out if we don't make it. We don't make it if you guys don't make it. But we also enjoy a relationship with you and the commitment. In a lot of this data that you're seeing today, in fact, most of it is your data. It's coming from your farms and fields that you've worked with us to help collect. We'll help you see through the haze. It's important for you and us to work together and to work with people we trust. We want you to trust us, but we know for you to trust us, we have to be able to tell you how this technology works, starting with the basics. And where does it fit on my farm? I often find myself caught up in the wrong questions with regards to this. Questions like, what did that contest winner do that I read about? Or how about, what was that thing I saw in the RFD TV advertisement? Or what was that new product I heard the guys at the coffee shop raving about that made a big difference? You see, I recognize that the fear of missing out is real. So the question really is, what are your soils and plants asking you for? And with that in mind, I'm excited to bring up the next set of speakers to talk you through the journey to harvest and show you some examples of stops all of us will likely take with possible relevant, non-overlapping technologies that we'd encourage you to consider as we listen and understand your needs. Our business is your success. First up to speak is a special guest speaker. He came here early today to get over the altitude sickness. Jamie's a farm performance advisor from the Delmarva. He's worked with us for over 10 years. He's one of our lead farm performance advisors. He lives in Queen Anne's County, Maryland, grew up on a farm. He's got a deep ag background. I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from Jamie as he talks about, it begins the journey on Journey to Harvest. So with that, Jamie.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to be here today and seeing all you guys. I really enjoy this farm community and here at Wood Agri-Service, and I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about the soil and plant active technologies on our journey to harvest. But before we talk about soil and active plant technology, we need to refresh the basics and talk about some of the things that will always trump additional management within your operation. Where I am going to talk about products today, remember, this isn't a system, and no one thing or one particular product is going to make a difference all by itself. It's the sum of all the things, all the little things you do that really impact your operation. So I'm going to start off talking about the basics. And you see here, this is a plant nutrient uptake in relation to soil pH. I know this year hasn't been very conducive to getting your lime applications on to really balance out your pH. But this graph here shows the ideal pH nutrient availability uptake is right here between the 6.2 and 6.7 for all these nutrients. You will not benefit from the nutrients you currently have in your soil or the ones that you're going to purchase this year without a proper pH. There's a reason that on your soil test samples, the first thing is pH on every lab report you get. It's that important. On our journey to harvest, we're going to take you through a road trip. And when we talk about cation exchange capacity or organic matter, they're very related. We need to really think about how big our gas tank is or how many stops I may need to take along this journey. Cation exchange capacity is the ability for your soil to hold and supply nutrients to your plants. The lower the cation exchange capacity, the lower the holding capacity for cations like magnesium, calcium, potassium. This really had me thinking about where our soils right here in this region are sitting with relation to where our cation exchange number is. So I looked up the average CECs on soils, and it was over 2,600 samples right here in your region. There was actually 4,000 samples I did on the Eastern Shore in our meeting the other day. Numbers were slightly different, a little bit higher on this side, but overall it's really relatable. So our CEC, our average CEC right here in this region is around 7.
The rating of soils that have good CEC is between 15 and 25. So our average CEC is well below the good rating here, right here in this region. I'm sure we have some up there close to 15 and some maybe even 20 in different regions, but our average is well below that. Organic matter read the same thing, of 2.4% average on these 2,600 samples. The average rating for good in organic matter percent is between that 3 and 6. So we're not living in that high CEC in organic matter. So we really need to think about how we manage our crops and our soils differently. And when we're taking a journey, we might need to think about like how big our gas tank is, how much of these nutrients we can hold in our soils on this journey, and if we need to make more stops or really more efficient stops along the way. And we're going to talk about some products today and different things, different concepts that'll help combat some of these challenges we have right here in our region. So with our lower than ideal CEC and organic matter, what that really is saying is our fuel tank isn't very big. So we either need to add more stops or be more efficient, like I mentioned earlier. To do that, we need to understand how nutrients work in the soil and then make a more efficient plan. So right here, just looking at nutrient mobility within our soil profile, these are some of the elements that are very mobile. Think about that as moving with water. A problem we had in 2023, very different than years prior, we didn't have a lot of water to move these nutrients within the soil profile, like nitrate, sulfur, boron. The more efficient we were in 2023 was a big difference, and we could see that visually throughout the year. When we think of moderately mobile nutrients, a lot of our cations that we just talked about are here, our potassium, our magnesium, and even ammonium. These move by a process called diffusion, high concentration to low concentration. And then we have our immobile nutrients. The roots have to really intercept this in the soil because they're not going to move much within the profile. I'm going to show you an example next of why it's so important to place the nutrients, especially in this category, the immobile nutrients, properly. If these nutrients are highly immobile, why should we make it any harder for the plant to take it up? So 2023 was a year where nutrient soil test levels and better nutrient utilization practices really showed itself visually when we didn't have a lot of water to move these nutrients to the profile early on in the growing season and throughout, especially during rapid uptake stages. Some of my growers have actually, when we're talking about starters, I'm really honing in on phosphorus and zinc here, but there's a lot of other things that go on in starter programs, especially nitrogen. But some of my growers have gone away from 2x2 application and either gone on top of the ground or no starter at all. And I understand that there's no wear and tear on boots and blades. The repairs are much easier, but easier isn't always better. And in this case, it really wasn't, especially in 2023, because we really saw this visually. This picture here on the left is from a customer of mine's field, where it's excessively streaking here right before V5, right before his side dress timing and some post work. The field right next door, exact same customer, same plant food, same everything early on. The only difference here was placement of his starter. The one on the left was a stream on top of the ground, 2 inches off behind the closing wheel. And the one on the right was 2x2 in the ground. It's a high P and zinc starter here with about 10 to 15 pounds of nitrogen. We didn't see the yellow streakiness where we had the phosphorus and zinc starter in the soil. And what we saw in May resulted in an 8 bushel difference at harvest. Efficiency made the difference here. Efficiency paid. Anything you can band in a concentrated zone, the plant will have a better nutrient utilization potential, and it will show it like you see in this picture. This goes from starter banding, like I just talked about, to pre-plant NutriBruns, to strip till, if you guys have that capability, and even to side dressing. Abel's going to talk in a little bit to show you the importance of why banding your side dress nutrients increases your nutrient utilization potential and will grow you more bushels. Banding fertility, yes, it works, and it is better. Especially when we get to these higher managed fields. Stephen mentioned some of these blue acre fields, the ones we're really trying to push. This chart shows root size reduction as population increases. As we increase our population, in particular on this chart, we're looking at corn, our roots will get smaller. It's just what happens. Which to combat this, we really need to be talking about better placement. Or said better, we need to be more efficient, and efficiency matters when you're talking about the 4R practices like right source, right place, right time, right amount. But efficiency also matters when we get into some of these soil and plant active technologies. They are designed to combat some of these inefficient ways, inefficient processes we have within our fields. So what are we talking about when we say soil and plant active technologies? Let's define what they are first. Soil active is enhancing or protecting your soil's ability to feed your crop. Where plant active is stimulating or feeding that plant on the cellular level. You will see these growth curves of corn and beans throughout this section of the meeting today, and highlighting some important stops along the way. You see this road trip here. The graph on the left is corn and even wheat, or most of our grass crops, where you kind of see a kind of a straight line up where the action kind of starts and it keeps going. Where in soybeans, the graph on the right, it's almost like a stair-step approach. And this is why we really need to really think about why we need to treat soybeans different than corn. A lot of this action happens later on in the growing season on soybeans. And the roadmap kind of shows that. And we're gonna, the green on the top will show some of our plant active technologies as we build on this chart. And the brown on the bottom is some of our soil active technologies. When using soil and plant active technologies, the growers that most benefit from additional management are the ones that do the basics that we just discussed earlier very well. I'm going to repeat that. The growers with the most benefit from additional management to some of these soil and plant active technologies are the ones that do the basics very, very well. We must have the foundation in place to truly utilize newer technologies, both soil and plant active. You can't start a road trip without having your bags packed and a tank full of gas. You're just not going to make it very far. We're going to start with some pre-plant decisions. Managing crop residues and cover crops is an important topic. I talk to my customers all the time about, and there are many ways to combat it. If you ask me, do whatever it takes within your operation to get a more uniform seed bed and even emergence. That's from is the chart on the left up here to heavy tillage to the one all the way on the right here of green planting, having a much more sophisticated planter setup to combat some of this, and all in between, the conservation tillage, the true no-till. I'm hearing a lot of my customers talk about how I economize coming in this year with lower than normal fertilizer and commodity prices. What I think we need to be asking first is how can I utilize more of the nutrients that I already have in my soil or in my field? There is a new soil active technology out that I'm going to share with you today, and I'm excited to share with you, that makes it easier to manage some of this residue and even give your plant a release of nutrients, which enhances your soil's ability to feed your crop. A way to increase your fuel tank size for more efficient stops or even less stops on your trips to harvest. That technology I want to talk to you about is a soil active technology called Trash Breaker 2. It's a micro consortium specifically designed to break down the four components of residue: lignin, cellulose, pectane, and starch. As you can see in this picture here, this was a picture taken 2 months after application in a burn down trip, where you see the breakdown on this picture on the right was much more improved. And when you think about our organic matter percentage of 2.4% here, this really helped release some of these nutrients that we have on top of the soil to get them into your plant faster. A breakdown of residue and release these nutrients faster. Remember, more efficient nutrient utilization. This selective technology can be applied in the fall or early spring. Think burn down timing. Remember, the goal is to get a more uniform seed bed for uniform emergence. That's what you see with this Trash Breaker 2 product. As you can see on the right, this was a plant planting into these two treatments and control group.
There was no road cleaners used here, so it's just the amount of more even and better seed to soil contact on the picture on the right. So why trash breaker 2? There's many reasons. One, it's a high CFU count. CFU stands for colony forming units, because in the microbe world, numbers matter. And it's also in the endosperm form, which means it's easy to handle. It's very durable under pump shear. But most importantly, we have consistent performance right here in your territory. Let me show you an example that I had with my customer last year on a wheat field. This soil active technology is enhancing the soil's ability to feed your crop. I applied this to a wheat field in the fall of 2022 in my burn down trip, looking to see if I could get an increase in the soil and plant nutrient levels in the field by early spring, around that green up timing in small grains. I resampled this field in January of 2023, 3 months after we applied this to the grower's field, and found a significant difference in the treated versus the untreated areas. I actually didn't even need to have my application map or the flag I put out to mark the difference here. You could visually see this 3 months after it, just in the wheat. A much greener, much more lush, better tillering. What you see here is a soil health report, and it can look very complicated, and it kind of is, but I want to point out a very few things that really changed in this field. One is what we call a CO2 burst. You get these readings on almost all soil health reports. It's measuring the soil microbe respiration potential. Well, what does that really mean? It's really saying how alive is the soil, how active is the soil on the microbe level. We got a big difference in readings here between the control and the treated areas. Almost doubled. It went from a score of 55 to 102. And if you look at the overall fertility score and the soil health score, the fertility score increased by 6 points and the soil health by 2 points. Well, this is all well and good, but did this better ratings in the soil actually get more nutrients into this plant? So at the same time I took these soil health reports, I also took a tissue sample, and I want to highlight these 4 things that really stood out on the tissue sample. Where other elements also increased, these were the 4 biggest differences: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and zinc. And we had an almost 4 bushel difference at harvest. So what we saw, we actually got a return. This new soil active technology enhanced the soil's ability to feed this wheat crop. I am confident this can be implemented into your farming system, especially where you have high residue problems. But remember, before introducing new technologies into your operation, we must do the basics really well first. There's no one product or one thing that's going to solve bag agronomic basics. We have to make sure we get that right first before we introduce some of these newer technologies. With that, we're going to make a pit stop here and bring up Lance to take you on the journey of planting, looking at soil and plant active technologies. Lance works out of our Marion plant in PA. I'm excited for him to share with you some exciting things about soil and plant active technologies during the planting timing. He's a great storyteller. I know I enjoy listening to Lance, and I'm sure you will too.
So when I'm working with the other farm performance advisors planning for this meeting and was talking about the journey to harvest, it made me think of a memorable trip that I had in 1991. That year I got married, and it was my first solo trip to Myrtle Beach. Of course, had no idea how to get there from up in Mercersburg. Never really left Franklin County until then. And I went to my grandfather's house, my newlywed wife, and we got out his trusty road atlas, which oddly enough, it's 100 years old. So we got the road atlas out. He had used it many times before, and a lot of other trips were mapped out on there and planned. We got a highlighter, and we said, this is how you want to go. And he pointed out some of the hazards that I'd encountered along the way. And one that's most memorable is down 17 South in Paris, Virginia. There was a railroad crossing in 1991. It was a real bugger. And if you didn't slow down, it would tear your car up pretty bad. But so this past December, I had the opportunity to make that same trip again. And this time I used the Waze app. And I got to thinking about a lot of things have changed since 1991, and how we grow crops today and coming up in 2024 has changed since 1991. What was it like growing corn back then? I looked up that year in 1991, the average corn yield was 108.6 bushels. Kind of a tough year. Most growers were still broadcasting MAP, DAT, triple 10 that you hear a lot about. The more progressive growers are using liquid fertilizer. That year, oddly enough, in 1991, the innovative agronomist at Willard Agri-Service came up with a starter for fertilizer. And it got a lot of recognition because it's green color and the way the corn jumped out of the ground. So much so that they gave it the name Green Demon. Just like we're left to trust the atlas in the dust, the resources your farm performance advisor has available to you has evolved greatly, just like your pickup truck has changed since then. Look at your farm performance advisor, your navigator, or even your Waze app to help you navigate the hazards along the way. We're always looking for better ways to improve the ROI on your farm. So one of the big changes we had is the TerraFuse technology. We get a lot of questions from our growers, like I want to increase the level of phosphorus in my plants. I want to increase my population to get more out of my hybrids. How do I maximize fertility? I want to introduce you to TerraFuse, fondly known by me as the black stuff. There's a lot of black fertilizer out there in the market. Not all are the same. The products that we have at Willard are packed full of robust technology. And easy way to explain that is, if you ever been to the grocery store to buy a simple bag of barbecue potato chips, God, there's 30 or 40 different kinds of manufacturers. You look at them, they're all the same size. They kind of have fancy logos, trying to decide which one, and they all say 16 ounces. We finally decide on one. You're looking for 16 ounces of deep fried seasoned goodness. You open up the bag, poof, there's 12 chips in there. Pretty disappointing. If Willard Agri-Service manufactured potato chips using TerraFuse, when you opened up that bag, it would be clear full, and when you carried it out of the store, it felt like you're carrying a bag of sugar, not an Amazon airbag. One of the leading products that fits well in our area is TerraFuse P. It's known for its availability to the plant, the mobility and the soil profile, and durability. Durability is going to mean it's going to hang around for the lifespan of that plant. Whenever it needs the groceries, it's going to be there using TerraFuse P. Easy way to illustrate it, we have TerraFuse P on the right, and we have typical ammonium polyphosphate on the left. You can see that the poly, a lot of it kind of gets hung up in that that first layer, where we get a little more of the TerraFuse P through the soil profile. And this happens a lot in our area in no-till. We get nutrient stratification. We don't get good mixing. And another place where you see this happen a lot is our perennial crops, our grass, hay, or alfalfa. Those nutrients kind of stay up top. Whereas if we're looking at using TerraFuse P, we can get it down in the profile where the plant needs it. Some other things you're going to get using this technology, you're going to get more root growth. You're going to have better stress tolerance for some of the ingredients that's in that bag of TerraFuse chips. And you're going to have the advanced maturity in a lot of cases. The plant's going to be firing on cylinders. Here's an easy way to kind of illustrate the availability. Here we have a trial where everything's the same. As the grower standards on the left, everything's the same except for we're reducing the amount of applied phosphorus by 35, 45, and 55%. And you can see even with the 55% reduction in total applied phosphorus, we still out-yield the grower standard. So one successful strategy I've used is I take technology like this, and I kind of carry the mail with that banded application or your planter application, and kind of do some more of the heavy lifting there, and then maybe reduce your broadcast applications. It's going to increase your efficiency. A lot of us are going to be in a heavily manored situation. Maybe we inherited some ground with high phosphorus levels and we don't need more P. So we can look at options like the In-Furrow Boost, which is going to be a pop-up that's going to have that TerraFuse technology in there. But if we don't need any additional P at all, we can use a product called Release, which is going to get you that technology, and you can put it with your nitrogen sulfur blend that you're applying. Another opportunity on the soil active technology is going to be Ion Strike. It's going to help you take advantage of the nutrients that's in the soil. It's going to be a crop specific nitrogen and phosphorus fixing bacteria that you can add to your starter. Like Mike mentioned earlier in the presentation, there's a lot of companies competing in that biological space, competing for that acre. They're not all the same. just like trash breaker that Jamie mentioned, Iron Strike's going to bring to the table consistent performance, durability under pump shear. It's going to have a long shelf life. It's going to be, most important, it's going to be compatible with your crop protection and your nutrition products you're going to have in the planter. And just like trash breaker, we have a high CFU count, and definitely in the biological space, numbers matter. There's a lot of products out there, but one thing to really pay attention to is what the CFU count is. That's going to separate the wheat from the chaff. One last thing I'd like to look at the planting stop is going to be a plant active technology. It's a proven performer. Need to mention any fertility program, Biograss NE. You can compare this to fuel aid if you put in your vehicle to maximize the fuel efficiency or the performance of that vehicle. It's a proven performer on all the crops we use it on. It's been a mainstay in our starter program for a number of years, for quite some time. The more we look at something to replace Biograss NE, the more we find out how much mail it really carries. Speaking of carrying, I just carried this to our next stop. And I want to remind you that our business is your success. I'd like to bring up Abe Well. I was going to take it from here.
Brought a little snack with me. Well, good morning. My name is Abel Elwell. Some of you aren't familiar with me. Some of you are. I worked at Mount Airy in 21 in the plant, helping out with a merger with Josh Fire. Shortly after that, I took a position in Lynch, Maryland on the Eastern Shore, working sales support, supporting Jamie Kimball's and the rest of the team out of Lynch. Today, I want to talk to you about our next stop, post-spraying. The race to canopy closure makes this an important time to apply a post-herbicide in corn and beans. This also opens up an opportunity for a win-win using a foliar fertilizer and other biostimulating technologies. So, what's happening at this stage? Is it the same for all crops? For corn and wheat, we are just at or prior to the rapid uptake of nutrients, where grain set, which is your rows or columns and kernel size, is being determined. Soybeans are fundamentally different from corn and wheat, where the action really isn't happening yet. We need to stop treating soybeans as corn and because the magic in soybeans happens later. Passes at post-spraying with foliar legumes will meet the early demand of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and molybdenum, and later demand at pod fill for magnesium and potassium. But Justin will talk more about this on our final stop. And active technologies come into play at this stage to meet the plant's demands. Get ready to eat a snack on our journey to harvest. How does this plant active technology tie into post-spraying? What makes this an opportunity to capitalize on this trip? When taking a trip over the field, plants will be stressed from metabolizing your post-herbicide application. Foliar feeds can help with herbicide metabolizing and also feed the plant at a critical stage for determining yields. Good foliars will do both. We're going to hone in on our plant active technologies in corn and wheat. Not all foliar feeds are created equal. Just because a foliar has a long shelf life doesn't mean it's benefiting your plant. We here at Willard deliberately made an effort to put ingredients in our foliars that are highly plant digestible in our foliamate line. EDTAs, strong bonds, are not easy for leaf absorption. We do not want to sell you something that's not going to get in the plant, frankly. We have analyzed over 3,000 local tissue samples to help us customize the nutrient concentrations to fit your plant's needs at the critical stages. These custom blends of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and microbes target specifically what corn and wheat need in foliate grain and what soybeans need in foliate legumes. If your foliar is coupled with the best technology from a delivery standpoint, like what's in foliate grain, this means truly less is more. Now for the science behind all this. There are eggs in the center of the table. You can chuck at me if I lose you over this. Go ahead. So why should I care about foliate grain? There's a lot of foliars on the market, and some say, well, I'm better than the competition. I have 3 words for you: amino acid technology. This feeds the plant. The functions of amino acids in plants are nearly endless and are the building blocks for everything. There are different types of amino acids, and some just can't be taken up by plants, like the animal forms, which are the amino acids. All 18 of the foliamate amino acids are plant available in the L amino acid form. Make sure your foliar isn't just a me too, and because all are not created equal. By having amino acid technology, it helps with mitigating stress, both biotic, think alive, diseases, insects, and abiotic, not alive, environment, cold, wet, drought, and speeds up the plant recovery from herbicide stress. But also, the delivery is on time. Let's look how amino acids help the logistics. This is a busy slide. Give me 60 seconds and we will both understand what this data is saying. When using amino acid technology as a base for your foliar product, it goes beyond the nutritional analysis. It's how it gets into the plant is just as important. This chart here shows the speed of absorption, or how fast these nutrients make it into the plant leaf. It's not only days, but it's hours and minutes in some cases. For instance, let's look at potassium. So potassium in a salt form is about 4 days for EDTA, which is our industry standard. We're looking about 2 days for potassium. We're looking under an hour, 60 minutes or less for amino acid technology. Now, since I can be slow at times, Mike came up with a great idea to help me and hopefully you better understand why this science works. So all you guys look at your tables in the center, you should see a bowl. Inside that bowl is flour and eggs. And so for people online, I have an example of what we got right here, flour and eggs. So you see your flour and eggs. Think of those as your EDTA foliars. EDTA brings to the field your raw ingredients, a mixing bowl, and an oven. Yes, technically you could bake a cake or a donut, but a whole lot of time and energy stands between you and that tasty treat. Not to mention dishes afterwards. And as my roommate, I don't like doing dishes. Now you should also, I say also, have some donuts in front of you. Show of hands, how many of you guys already ate those donuts? Correct, right? It made sense. That's exactly how it works. I hope you did, because just like a plant, it's a no-brainer. It's there, it's ready to go. No time and energy need to be spent on those nutrients. That's how amino technology works. Those donuts are ready to eat, but don't take my word for it. Let's look right here in the Mid-Atlantic. Last year, you might have seen this technology in this slide from Tyler Adams, showing you powering together 2 plant active technologies on wheat at second shot, which is our BioGrowth NE and Fully Make Grain. You see this visual response. It looks great, but did it actually translate to yield? Those visual differences resulted in a great return. They yielded 6 bushel average higher across those 4 farms in an already high yielding environment. I mean, that's safe to say it's hard to squeeze another few bushels at 132 bushels average over across those farms. This is proven technology right in your backyard. Now that we've successfully given our plant a snack through the leaves, what if we could do the same to the roots? In an oversaturated world of biological products, we have honed in on products that we think have the potential to give you an ROI. With science moving at warp speed, new products are coming out of research that are already producing results. We have been carefully building our own data set over the last 2 seasons on a product named Source. You should have heard this by now. This technology is plant active, foliar applied, and stimulates existing soil microbes through signals that travel through the plant down to the root hairs. Let's look at our local data and let it speak for itself. After 2 years, we have collected over 40 high-quality partnership plots, that's you guys, and successfully captured all the details of your field's history. Now, you see this green line running along here? That green line signifies a 4 bushel response, or when the source pays for itself. While more than that had a yield response, it doesn't matter if it doesn't break even. But there's more data than meets the eye. Let's take a closer look. When we're thinking about applying Source and where it fits, a term that you might have heard an acronym comes up, which is NUE, or nitrogen use efficiency. This is a deciding factor in if you will see response. If you look at the data here on the bottom left, you will see that the average NUE on the ones that had a positive response were about 0.92. We recommend under 1. And I think that shows that that's where you see your wins. If you look at the bottom right for the negative responses, you'll see that the average NUE was over 1, which is outside of our recommended range for applications. And I think it showed with the bushels it being a negative response. But there's more to this data. If we look at our positive responses, we also saw that trials without manure averaged 9 bushel an acre. This is still an excellent response, but trials with manure had a whopping average response of 11 bushels an acre. I think this clearly points that this is a whole biological system. Also, there's more to be learned in our negative responses. What questions do we have here? Some of our data suggests that 1 or 2 commonly used farming practices have had a negative impact on the soil microbiome and by extension, sources' ability to activate those microbes. If you recall Mark Twain's statement, it's what you know for sure that just ain't so that gets you. We don't and never will have all the answers, but as we continue to learn, the right questions will come to the forefront. I hope you will join us in finding those questions. On to our next stop, side dress. We have effectively taken control of our weeds to allow our crops to win the race to canopy closure. We were also successful in providing a snack to stimulate the biosphere in the soil. Now it's time to refuel the tank with high octane nitrogen to meet the high demand at rapid vegetative growth. For soybeans, the scale house is closed. Justin will bring them back in the race as stop 4. Let's talk about how the soil active finisher nitrogen mix will meet your corn's high demands. Now, does your corn just need nitrogen, or does the soil have the proper nitrogen sulfur boron balance at this stop? If you recall, Jamie talked earlier about the basics, and he showed how nitrogen is not the only nutrient that's mobile in the soil. The demand for potassium or K is higher in corn than it is of N at this stage. Also, do we have enough CEC to hold the amount of potassium for the yield we are shooting for? This is where the finisher comes into play. If using source, we need to think about our side dress rate more than ever. We do this by meeting our yield goals and making sure that the NUE is under 1, and in some cases, this might mean a reduced side dress rate. Now, I want to show you some data that helps show the power of finisher. This is a comparison of a nitrogen, potassium, sulfur, boron analysis. On the right, you will see a dry top dress analysis with the same rate of nitrogen, sulfur, boron with 60 pounds of potassium. 60 pounds, right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we have the finisher in a liquid solution with only 30 pounds of potassium. Exactly the same analysis, exactly the same rate, other than the potassium. But you'll see that made a difference. If you remember Jamie telling you earlier how nutrient placement and efficiency matters in a 2x2 starter scenario, in side dress application, it yielded over twice the amount of bushels than it did in his scenario. Efficiency not only matters at this stage, it pays. I also want you to look at this corn price here that we used in this scenario. This is a low commodity market. This works at any price. Efficiency pays, good year and bad year. One last slide to show the power of the finisher. This is a comparison of 2 liquid mixes, nitrogen, sulfur, boron mix at the same rate. The only difference is the center got the finisher with potassium. The rest of the farm did not. In low CEC environments where there's more demand for potassium than what is supplied, having potassium in your mix really shines. The difference between building soil active fertilizer mixes to meet what we think the plant needs, what it needs versus what we think they need, that's what this shows. And honestly, I think this speaks to our focus of bringing you, the customer, solutions to your problem. A short way to sum this up is our business is your success. Well, now that we have given the plants the right mix, the right amount of nutrients to make it to harvest, now we will talk about finishing strong with grain fill. Let's welcome up Justin Reed on our last stop to harvest. Justin is new to our team, but not new to the world of agricultural nutrition. We are blessed to have him on our team. Come on up, Justin. Thanks, Justin. There you are, sir.
Thank you, Abel.
Yeah.
Like our home stretch here, I am standing in between lunch, so I will be quick. Stop number 4 is our Strong Finish program, and we're reaching the end of our journey to harvest here. And I know many of us are tired and we're about done with this trip. And now is the time whenever we need to check our oil and fill up our tank. So what's our finish line? It's a high yielding crop, right? Well, this is when we need to make sure our motor's running smooth and has everything it needs to get us there against yield robbing situations like disease and insect pressure. And Jamie told me this at the beginning of this project. We want our crop to be cleaner, darker, and healthier for longer and really allow our crop to dry down, not die down. So how can we do this? With our Willard Strong Finish program, we're at the stage where we're maximizing the production of our crops. And this is also the last chance to optimize the plant reproduction and grain fill. We do this by creating a healthier crop. How we do this is we add our fully made grain, which are plant active amino acids, bring in our nitrogen, magnesium, boron, manganese, and zinc. And we will break that down more in the next slide. These smaller minerals are creating better digestibility. And that better digestibility is then able to create a healthier plant, a lot like a well-balanced feed ration. The healthier cow's rumen is, the more available they can break down those nutrients, creating more milk or rate of gain. And then our BioGrowth NE is pulling up all those amino acids and nutrients and making them more available. I also don't want to forget about our plant-proven protection with our Moravis Neo, the broad-spectrum fungicide. This helps mainly here on the west with some gray leaf spot, and then TrivaPro doing similar things on the east and in the south, but more focused towards rust. We're also going to add in our Warrior, act as our insecticide when needed. And there's many key elements to the FoliaMate, our Strong Finish program, but I wanted to break down FoliaMate a bit more. And I know we've addressed this multiple times in this journey to harvest, but I really want to emphasize how important it is at each one of these stages. And you heard about FoliaMate during Abel's talk, and we're learning more and more about the amino acid technology and figuring out how to position this product. And most of our Strong Finish data, the FoliaMate grain went on at this time and at 2 pints. Capable, I think it'd be better to run a pint or two at post, and then another pint or two at tassel. We're really trying to put the abiotic and biotic stressors to work while maximizing nutrient uptake during these important reproductive stages. Remember, we said that less is more, but we really mean is less amount, but more often. There's also a FoliaMate legume that I'll briefly touch base on in an upcoming slide. And I know a lot of you are thinking, what is all this worth? And by implementing the Willard Strong Finish program, we're seeing an average of 16 bushel per acre return. And we're also seeing a $30 return on investment at $4 corn. And as you can see right here, our green line is our break even, with many of our growers are well above this green line with some pretty solid returns. What I think is really cool about this data, it's from 37 growers across our Willard map, and many of which are sitting in this room now. And I really want to emphasize, don't leave this money on the table. There's no better time to finish your corn off strong by these proven solutions. I'd like to wrap up corn a little bit and get into some soybeans. And very similar to our corn program, the next big opportunity to influence yields in our soybeans is during the reproductive stage where flowering, grain fill, and pollination occurs. The Strong Finish program looks like this with our nutrient enhancer BioGrowth NE. We'll also break that down again in the next slide. Accompanied with our foliar fertilizer, FoliaMate legume, and our plant-proven protection with our Moravis Top, acting as our fungicide, and Warrior 2 as our insecticide when needed. To me, there's a very synergistic effect with this program. Our customers have told me by stacking these technologies together is when we're really getting most of our benefit. And I really want y'all to remember that all these little things are what's making the big difference. So what is BioGrowth NE? And NE stands for Nutrient Enhancer, and BioGrowth does just that by optimizing nutrient uptake to manage stress in your crops and increase your profitability. So how does BioGrowth work? It's an organic acid improving the plant respiration, resulting in the plant to be healthier, and then it's able to pull up our added nutrients from our FoliaMate and other plant foods. And I really want the key takeaway for y'all to be is it pulls up added nutrients to increase growth, yield, and profitability. This R3 or flowering application is the most important timing to impact yield in our soybeans. Leading into our next slide of return on investment. As you can see, our Strong Finish is both effective on full season and double crop beans. They both average out at 8 bushel return And this also comes from 15 plots on both double crop and full season beans from growers just like y'all. I want to thank y'all for coming along with me on this journey to harvest. If there's one thing I'd like y'all to take away from the Strong Finish program, it's how tried and true effective these programs are. It goes straight back to our values as your trusted advisor in the farm performance system. We treat every crop as if it's our own, and if we don't think it will benefit yourself, crop, or land, we will not bring it to your table. Our business is your success.
I heard Jerry Seinfeld, probably most of you guys heard a Jerry Seinfeld joke. He was talking about funerals. And the question was asked, you had to go to a funeral. Would you rather give the eulogy or be eulogized? And a surprising number of people chose they would rather be eulogized. And it takes a lot to get up and talk in front of a group and in front of people. And I just want to thank all the speakers who, in some cases, reluctantly raised their hands to come up here, but they've all done a great job. And I just ask you to just join me in a quick round of applause for them. So I'm going to bring it home here on the plant and soil active part of the meeting, and then wrap up with some quick messages from some other folks who are not here in the room, and then invite Billy and Matt to come up and close us out. And hopefully what you heard over the second half of the meeting about soil and plant active technologies is we're really focused on helping you produce more with less. In other words, be more efficient. As a result, do a better job with your operations from a profitability standpoint. And we think we can do that. We know we can do that with the proper use of the farm performance system, plant and soil active technologies. But I want you to also think about what you heard today and take it one step further. And that is to ask yourself, yes, within any season, a return on investment of an input is critically important. And if we can't demonstrate that return on investment, we need to start questioning why we're using them on the farm. But I also think increasingly we're looking longer term at what's the journey look like for our soils from a soil health, resiliency, and capacity standpoint. Weather gets seemingly more unpredictable. We deal with increasing volatility in both the commodity markets as well as the input markets. The ability of your farms to produce crops in a resilient and consistent basis is critically important. And a lot of our focus with looking at these soil and plant active technologies is to put together a systematic approach that continues to help you build your soils in a way that they are more stable. So as all those variables that you can't control come at you, what you can control is more consistent and predictable. So think, and as you're meeting with your farm performance advisors, what are your longer term goals for your soil? And let us help you work with you to map out a plan of attack to get there. So as we wrap up, always remember that you are at the center of the farm performance system. This isn't about us. It's about our ability to listen and understand and to serve you, our customers, because our business is your success.
Our business is your success here at Willard's.
Our business is your success.
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 Our business is your success. Definitely.
With that, I'm going to ask Billy and Matt to come up.
Thanks, Mike. Like Mike said, lunch is right around the corner, so I'll be brief. Thanks again, everybody, for being here this morning. We know you have a lot of choices when it comes to meetings and where to invest your time, so we really appreciate you being here today. I'm proud to be the third generation Willard working in agriculture for our family business. Proud of the fact that we're independent and we're only beholden to you, the grower. Please reach out to your farm performance advisor if you want to learn more about anything that you've seen here today. And lastly, if you could please fill out the questionnaire that's on the table. This will help us form the agenda for next year's meeting, and your feedback is really critical, so we appreciate that. Thanks again, and looking forward to a safe and successful 2024. And my father's going to wrap things up. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I feel like Joe Osteen. Yeah, I really am the last speaker between lunch. I'm gonna be real quick, and we haven't gotten any eggs thrown at us yet. Kelsey, could you move the eggs away from Randy, please? Okay. If anybody's going to throw an egg, it's going to be Randy. You know, we can have the best equipment, you know, see load outs we have, and all the stories that was talked about. But the folks that make it happen are the folks that spoke to you today. And, you know, maybe there's a dozen here, but there's another 110 employees just like them that support them and make it happen. Okay. And I'm proud of them, really proud of them, what they do. You see a lot of non-gray haired folks around now, and that's intentional. And we're not planning just for the next year or the next 5 years. We're planning for the next 25 years. And it was interesting, Larry, that was brought up at Lance made 1991, way back in 1991. And, you know, we're thinking back, way back in the early 70s, right, and how we did things. So things are going to continue to happen real fast. These technologies and the list of those products on that piece of paper on your table is just going to go quick, 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 quick. I'm kind of a history buff and a history nut. And I read a statistic recently, 67 years from when Henry Ford rolled the Model A off the line, you know, horse and buggy Model A, 67 years to 1969, Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon surface. And you think, wow, that's a feat. But I submit to you that things are going to happen way quicker now. And so it's going to be our job to sift through all that noise and hopefully bring you some answers. We continue to grow, and our footprint, our plan is to expand our footprint, not leapfrog, and to grow our footprint north, south, much farther east, with the ocean, right, Josh? But we settled on a piece of property in York County, PA in December, 18 acres. February 7th, we hope to get all our permits in place and hopefully break ground for a new facility in York County, PA. Glen Rock is the town, right, Tyler? And nicknamed that the Rock. Okay, so that's going to be the Rock. All right. Finally, you know, our team mentioned over and over and over again, our business is your success, and it was mentioned here earlier, and I mentioned it on the shore on Tuesday, but I can still hear my father telling my brother and I, Bobby and Larry, that we got no business being on our customers' field unless we can bring some kind of value, something to their operation where they can make a little bit more money. And that was really an encapsulated way to say our business is your success. So D. Willard's been saying that for 55 years. Appreciate you all being here. You got a lot of choices. Tell us if it was helpful. Fill the forms out, please. If it wasn't helpful, tell us what you'd like to hear. And we'll turn it back to Mike.